men just don't talk about anything.
100%.
I'm quite open about on my social media about talking about getting your prostate checked, getting your
Really important.
yeah
100%.
testicular cancer, getting your checking your testicles. These are things that men don't want to talk about, but these are things that we have to talk about.
You know, with my illness, I kind of ignored it and just didn't want to think about it, and ignored it and did that typical man thing of it'll go away. It'll go away. I don't need a doctor. But we do.
By exposing it for what it is, we can then build those bridges.
As long as you start having a conversation, we can hopefully help others. And that's the point, right?
That's what this is all about.
It's not about, I'm going to look differently or people aren't going to respect me. It's, I need help. And I think it's okay to be like that, right?
Don't ever be afraid to talk to people. Because when you start talking to people, you realise how much love and support is out there.
If you're looking for change, you have to often be the one that creates it.
100%.
You have to be the change,
But it's fine for some men. It's finding that strength and courage to go and do that.
Right, everyone, welcome to a special edition of Beyond the Pouch podcast, which is Men's Health Takeover. And today I'm joined with some fantastic individuals here. We've got Keith, we've got Chris, and we've got Mo, we've got myself, Ant. And what we're going to be talking about today and over the next couple of weeks are some really important topics about men's health, stomas and IBD. So what I wanted to chat with you guys about today is like sharing some of your personal connections. So why do you want to talk about this?
Well, good morning, boys.
Good morning.
How are we?
Very well.
Why do we want to talk about this? Personally, I think that men just don't talk about anything.
100%.
They don't tend to, they'll talk about football and they'll talk about rugby and other things like that. And they just don't want to talk about illnesses, mental health. When have you ever sat in a group of men and just chatted about your health?
We don't really, unless someone's really ill and they're out over a pint maybe.
We don't really say, how are you?
No.
Well, we do, but we don't want an answer to it.
Or the answer back is, all right, you?
Fine,
All right,
Yeah. We never tell the truth, do we?
So, like I say, we are 4 men who all have ostomies. And I think it's important to talk about our ostomies. But I think it's also important to talk about things like mental health and illnesses. Like, I'm quite open about on my social media about talking about getting your prostate checked, getting your
really important. 100%.
Testicular cancer, getting your checking your testicles. These are things that men don't want to talk about, but these are things that we have to talk about. Now, I know this is not all about me, but I've recently found a mole on my left arm. And I didn't ignore it. I went to the doctors. This was about 5 weeks ago. I've actually had it removed. It's all healing up lovely. I'm still waiting on the result, but I did something about it. I didn't just ignore it and forget about it, because things like this will not go away.
Well, look, hey, fingers crossed it all works. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for talking about it. That's
I'm sure
point,
it will. But this is the point. I could have just stayed at home and think, that'll go away, and not talk to anybody about it. The first thing I did was talk to my wife about it. We got a doctor's appointment. I was seen pretty quick, and things moved, and before I knew it, I was having it removed.
Excellent.
And I'm on the mend.
But think about how many men that don't, and that's the issue, isn't it? So many men would just live with I mean, I did it. You know, with my illness, I kind of ignored it and just didn't want to think about it, and ignored it and did that typical man thing of it'll go away. It'll go away. I don't need a doctor. But we do. And we have to talk about it. No.
It will not go away, no matter what it is.
Well, as men, what I was going to ask you guys with this was like, when you were first diagnosed, was there anything that you wanted differently? Like, more men talking about it? Like, were there people that you could see, like, in either socials or people you could lean on as a man? Or were you like, I can't talk about it? What were your thoughts about it?
I don't know. It came for me, it came down to the context of how I was diagnosed. The way I was told was dreadful.
Right, okay.
Because obviously I knew there was something wrong with me, and I had numerous hospital attendances and numerous things going on. And no one could give me an answer as to what was wrong with me. It was clear there was something wrong. And then they obviously did a load of tests. And then I went into hospital one day in agony, and I was lying on a hospital bed almost in the fetal position with blood coming out of me, really in a bad way. And for some reason, Rachel was in the waiting room. They hadn't called her through yet because I went to hospital on my own. It was that bad. I thought, I just need to get to hospital. And when I was lying there on the side, this doctor, so matter-of-factly, because he had a clipboard back then, now they will have tablets, don't they?
Yeah.
He said, so how long have you had Crohn's?
Yeah.
I said, I beg your pardon? I didn't say it that politely because I was in agony and I was lying on this bed in agony, and this doctor just says, how long have you had Crohn's? I didn't know I had Crohn's at that point. And
so no one even suggested that it might be Crohn's?
Not really.
They were just so dismissive of it.
Yeah, but obviously they'd done tests.
And
I obviously had this diagnosis, but no one called me in to say, Chris, we need to talk to you about your diagnosis. It was lying there on the bed. How long have you had Crohn's? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was relieved.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
This isn't how you tell somebody.
No.
So in answer to that question, go with your question again.
Well, like, was there anything when you were diagnosed, were there people you could lean on or talk to?
Well, no, because that was the thing. I just got some guy saying to me, you've got Crohn's. And I'm like, what do I do with that information now? What's happening next? Where are we? So my mind was just going into overdrive because I was like, okay, great, I've got a diagnosis. Pleased with that. But what now? Because you're just telling me.
I think as men, we're kind of process driven. So we always go, right, found the issue.
Where's the solution?
Where's the treatment?
Yeah.
How long does that take? What happens after this?
It's like just the process, isn't it? And that's it.
Because you said you're diagnosed. You said I don't actually know much about your journey and sort of your diagnosis. What was that like for you? Did you get lots of...
So I was actually diagnosed during COVID.
Yeah.
So I started experiencing issues with my bowel in the October. And I went to the doctors come the new year because the symptoms were just getting worse. I started getting cramps, this stabbing pain in my lower abdomen. I was constipated all the time. I was just exhausted without really expending any energy. And I went to the doctors. They did like a physical examination, just kind of pressed around the area to see if they could feel anything. And they said, it's just stress. A lot of people are coming in to say that. Right? It's everyone's in lockdown, it's COVID, symptoms seem to suggest that. So they gave me like a 4 weeks worth of laxatives. If that doesn't work, come back to us. So I did go back to them because it wasn't helping. And then they said, oh, you got IBS.
I'm sure so many people that listen to this go, that one.
They're just like... And then I thought, well, they told me to follow a FODMAP diet. And I kind of, a bit like you, it's kind of like, where do I go next? What is this all about? I need more information. So I was reading up on it. And IBS, there's no test to say, this is IBS. It's just what the doctor can kind of suggest based on your symptoms and what you tell them. And as time went on, I could feel this lump forming in my lower abdomen. My family were really pushing me to go back to the doctors because they were like, something's not right here. You're not your usual self. And then on the third occasion, I sat down with the same doctor that said it was IBS and said to him, can we not just do some tests to figure out what it isn't? And then we could figure out, maybe by a process of elimination, figure out what it is. And he was like, no, just stick with the IBS medication. It'll be all right. Give it a couple of more weeks. And I basically just put my foot down and said, I'm not leaving without a test. So reluctantly, sent me for a blood test. The blood test showed inflammation. I had 2 more blood tests and a stool test. And then I was told it was Crohn's by a consultant. But he was like, let's do a colonoscopy. Let's figure out what's going on. And it was there in the colonoscopy that they could see a lump. Which I'd been complaining about for months. And that's when they said, right, we believe it's cancer.
It was such a process.
Because they said, the doctors took one look at me and go, you're young, you're fit, you're healthy. And I was at the time probably in the best shape of my life, and I was doing all the right things, taking my vitamins, eating my greens, exercising. So they were dismissive of it based on what they could see, rather than going, right, what is it that we can't see? Let's figure out what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
And it just spiraled from then on in.
Yeah.
I had a couple of rounds of chemo, got a very nasty infection, ended up being in hospital for several months fighting that infection. It's like a staph infection, so it got into my lungs, started tearing away at my lung wall, got into my joints, started eating away at my joints.
That must have been really hard. Like,
just crazy.
Did you have your support network to chat with and speak to whilst we were going through
being COVID, my wife could only come and see me an hour a day.
Wow.
And that was providing the online booking service was working, which a lot of the time it wasn't.
Wow.
So she had to book online to come and see you?
Yeah, had to book a slot.
That's awful.
And when she called to say there isn't a slot available, they said there should be, because it's one slot per patient. She's like, no, it's not. It took the Macmillan nurses to come and see me.
Wow.
And I just broke down in tears saying, I haven't seen my wife for ages. I could speak to her over the phone. I'm stuck in isolation, just in a room all by myself, staring at a clock on the wall. And they were like, no, we're not having this. And so they managed to have a conversation with the consultant, and said, right, all your wife needs to do is call, say what time she's coming, and then she could come along and come and see me. So, and that was a godsend. Just seeing her for 1 hour each day was just...
But why just 1 hour? What difference does 2
couldn't
hours
imagine
make?
restrictions
1 hour.
But COVID, they were really trying to avoid kind of transmission.
But if you're there for an hour, the contact's already there, isn't it?
Well, yeah, true.
But they're full in PPE gear. She's got an apron on, a mask, a shield.
Wow.
So, she's got those latex gloves.
Yeah.
So I can't even touch her hand or skin contact.
So it doesn't feel like your wife's
No,
there
it doesn't.
because you can't see them
It just
properly.
feels like I'm holding on to a piece of rubber tyre between my fingers. So,
well, look, thank you for sharing all of that. Like, even doing this now, like reflecting back on it, like you've gone through so much, and to talk about it now is
not the end
such a
of it,
big thing.
unfortunately, because whilst I was fighting off that infection, what they didn't realise is my bowel had perforated.
Oh, gosh.
So it was just bleeding all those toxins into my system. Because I'll be getting well, I'll fight off the infection, I'll go home, a couple of hours later, I'll then come back into hospital and they go, well, what's going on? Just feed him antibiotics, just keep giving him serum.
The magic pill, the antibiotic.
The tumour was like the size of a small watermelon. Wow. So they were like, right, just get him into surgery. To have emergency surgery.
Do you know, when I listen to other people's journeys and I think, I've had it so easy. Do you know what I mean? I had one operation, one recovery. I've never, touch wood, I've never had to go to hospital since.
Yeah.
You know?
But then I think every journey is different, right?
Yeah.
And how you deal with it and how you've gone through it is going to be so different because, again, everyone's journey is like, I'm very similar. I'll sit there and be like, oh, this is a cakewalk because everyone else has gone through so much. But then... we're undermining what we are going through because again we could be really positive, put a mask on, put a face on, not talk to people about it, crack on, because again, not to be stereotypical, but stiff upper lip, crack on with it.
Well, can I just say I never stop talking about mine?
No, you're not an individual who's never stopped talking.
I never stop talking about it. No, I am quite happy to tell everybody about my stoma. I'm quite happy to show everybody my stoma. This is my journey. This is me. For me, it's just a different toilet routine.
So what I was going to ask with this was like, have you seen, as you started being more, outspoken about your conditions, your stories, like have you seen people view you and your journeys in a different way?
Definitely.
Do you see things in a more positive sense in yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I always thought cancer only affects older people, over 50. And so part of what I've tried to do coming out of the other side of it is to really campaign for awareness amongst younger people and the consequences of doctors just not taking it seriously enough to... Yeah. Because people will eventually lose their lives, unfortunately, because of it.
I mean, some of the work you've done recently with, like, Macmillan, the poster works, all those bits, the real campaign aware stuff, it's like, mate, huge congratulations. It's been, it's
That's
fantastic.
the thing, we all watch each other online, so we all know what's going on. Watch us online. If you're watching people, watch us online. You know, there are ostomates doing some absolutely amazing things out there, men and women.
100%.
It's incredible.
Well, that's the power of talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Because then more people will be inspired to then have those conversations.
Oh, definitely. And you know, if you haven't got somebody to talk to, find us and message us. We'll talk to you.
I mean, he won't stop talking.
As you can see, we're in a room, 4 men in a room, and we want to talk. And if you want to talk to us, there are no boundaries. We will talk about anything.
But there's there are still a lot of men that won't talk.
Yes.
So
can we dig into that then? What's your point with that?
So with the hospital where I go, they put on every year a function, a bit of almost like a get together. Yeah. So the stoma nurse gets all people that are newly had stomas, young or old, into this room, just so they can see other people that have got ostomates, because it always makes you feel a bit more relaxed or at ease with it, and have conversations with others. And they always get me up to be a guest speaker, and I always offer my help and support and say, here's my number. If you need to chat, give me a call.
Keith's already there, so...
Yeah.
So I've done 3 of those events, and there's about 20 to 30 people in the room, all with stomas. Fantastic. And the women are a lot more receptive.
Yeah.
The men just close up, and I've given out my number to probably 50 people.
Yeah.
So I can see you're struggling. Send me a text. Don't have to be a phone call. Just send me a text. I'll reply to you on text. I'll give you help and support. Just need to blow off some steam. Give us a call. Send me a text. Do you know how many people have done that?
Probably less than 1.
None.
Yeah.
Not one.
Wow.
Crazy, and that's the issue, and that's why we need to be doing these types of podcasts. We need men to watch this, and I think they will, and just give them that little kick to think, okay, this is fine. I can talk. That's what we want.
Yeah,
we want them to do, and that's what this needs to achieve.
Driver, I actually get a lot of messages from people who want to be bus drivers but have gone through stoma surgery.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Or people who are lorry drivers and they saying, I see you driving your bus all the time.
How'd you do it? Yeah.
Can I go back to work?
Yeah,
yes, 100%. Yeah. You can do whatever you like. A stoma won't stop you doing anything. Yeah. It's you that stops you doing anything, not a stoma.
So what, if we say that then, because even your point there, you've done some fantastic talks for people and you're not getting a lot of, people contact you, men contact you, be specific. You get quite a few.
Yeah.
What are the... what stigmas are still there that you see? Because we're obviously trying to do what we can.
Yeah.
Do you still feel there's a stigma around it? As a guy?
Without a doubt there is.
Yeah, it's a man thing, isn't it? Yeah. Men don't want to talk about things. Men don't want to talk about...
But there's different factors at play. So you've got the cultural side of things where you say, we're still in that, I guess, mindset where we go, men don't cry.
Yeah.
They just get on with things. I cry a lot. But there are men who
we should.
Yeah, there are men who won't.
But there's also an element of fear to go, well, could this lead to bad news and cause me to come away from it all? And my father never took his health seriously, and he suffered greatly after the age of 50. Yeah. He had heart issues, kidney issues. But he would never see a doctor unless he was being carted in the back of an ambulance.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And he never spoke about his health, and I wish I would have asked him more questions. Yeah. But kind of what I saw from him was that you need to take these things seriously. I mean, during my health issues, he sadly passed away, and that was a big alarm in the back of my head, was just going off saying, you need to get this sorted out before it leads to the route that your father went through. And to see him go through that as well, that leaves you with an immense amount of trauma, and affects your mental health as well.
Yeah.
So by talking about it, by exposing it for what it is, we can then build those bridges and get into a much better place. I think there was some startling facts when I started looking into this, was that men have a 37% higher risk of dying from cancer than women. Wow. 4 in 5 suicides are men. And this is coming from the local.gov.uk website. And those suicides, most of those are men of under 35 years old. I mean, that is enough to just fear within you, you know, to really start attacking this and going, well, why is that? Why is that an issue? Why don't we know more about
what's stopping people? Talking?
It's the biggest killer, isn't it? It's the biggest killer in men is suicide.
Well, it's just encouraging others to be like, look, all of us have shared our stories, and I'd like to think, well, I'm very much inspired by all of you guys, like, I'll be brutally honest, and I'd like to think that helps others actually just have that initial conversation to help stop, 4 out of 5 men going that way or thinking about going that way. That's the bit for me where, like, as long as you start having a conversation, we can hopefully help others. And that's the point, right?
That's what this is all about.
It's not about, I'm going to look differently or people aren't going to respect me. It's, I need help. Like, it's okay to be like that, right?
It is. And I think with that event that I do, they just see one man standing there talking. Whereas now if I go back next year, I can say, here's a link to all these podcasts of boys in a room talking about it, because like I say, I'm just one man that stands up, whereas some men want to see more than that, thinking, well, you're just one guy.
And we're not 4 guys that have grown up together and known each other for hundreds of years. We all have
100 years, I'm not that old.
I'm almost that old. but we're 4 guys who have met through our stomas and through this wonderful...
from different walks of life.
Different walks of life. And yet we can just sit in a room as friends. We've probably seen each other, met each other personally, 4 or 5 years ago at the most, right? We're sitting in a room just talking about whatever we want to talk about. Why can't others do it? Why can't others do this?
Well, hopefully they'll see and listen to this and then be encouraged to do it.
It's also others having access to it, isn't it?
100%,
and I think that's why we need to do more things like this, be it podcasts or on social medias, to get more people, more men to see it. We need to tap into that audience, if you like, and get them to see it so they can start to feel free to talk about it. Because we can. And we can encourage others to do it.
We can talk about anything. Absolutely anything.
We do,
What do you want to talk about next?
Well, I was going to say, like, how we've talked about supporting others. How have you lot been supported, though? Like, who supported you?
Well, 100% for me, it's my wife more than anyone. My children, obviously. I have grown-up children. Hang on, how many fingers have I got?
10 usually.
We've got 8 grandchildren between us. Number 9 is on the way.
Wow. Okay, congrats.
The children, the grandchildren, I have a huge family who are supportive. My wife has been with me through the journey. And
she was here today as well?
And she was here today, yes. She's been absolutely fantastic. And even now, I couldn't do what I do without her.
No, she couldn't.
And I really couldn't,
100%.
But we all have to realise when we're going on these journeys, it's not just our journey. We were talking about it earlier. It's not our journey. It's it involves your family, it involves your friends, it involves your work colleagues. And don't ever be afraid to talk to people. Because when you start talking to people, you realise how much love and support is out there.
Well, also, if they don't know, how can they help?
Exactly.
Who's supported you guys then?
It's no surprise that Rachel is my world and my support, along with... Why do I always get emotional when I talk about Rachel?
It's fine to get emotional.
That's the point of it,
fine.
Right?
I don't care if all 4 of us crying going through this.
Have we got any tissues on standby?
I got some in my pocket.
I've always said it's been harder for Rachel than it has me. Because I lie in a hospital bed in pain. But at least I'm in a hospital bed and there's people looking after me. Whereas Rachel has to come and see me, update the family, update friends, look after the kids, run the house, still go to work. For her, I've always said it's been harder for Rachel because she has to do so much. I just lie there. That's my role in it. Is I lie there thinking what surgery I'm going to have next. I had 20 surgeries in 5 years.
Jeez. Wow.
And Rachel was there for every single one.
Yeah, because you're still waiting for...
And I'm still waiting for more surgery.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
That I'm still waiting for from the last time we saw each other to get together. I'm still waiting. And who's there supporting me through all of that? It's always Rachel. When I get down, it's Rachel that's there.
Yeah.
And my kids. Yeah, my kids are great. My son is incredible. My daughter's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
My daughter's autistic, so she's not always good at the emotion side. That just doesn't kind of work in her head. But even, I think for the first time in about a year, she gave me a hug a couple of months ago. And it was like the first time, because she doesn't do touch.
Fantastic.
And she just came up to me and she saw I was not doing well. And she just gave me a hug. And I was like, so I was in tears then. My daughter's hugging me because she doesn't do touch.
Yeah.
So that was just like an amazing moment.
That's really powerful.
And it is powerful. Yeah. And that, just her giving me that hug was like, I need that. That's got me going again. I'm okay. I'm gonna push on.
Yeah. What about you, Mo? Who supported you through all this? Because again, you've quite a journey.
Much like everyone else, my partner, my wife, she was my rock.
Yeah.
She was there getting to the hospital, public transport. She doesn't drive, so she'll get a lift at times. And I was going from one hospital to another, and she would just find a way to get to me. Whilst I was in the hospital, the pastoral care, I had Father Michael come visit me. I had Imam Rizwan come up as well. And although, they're there to represent their religion, but they're also there as human beings just to listen and provide support. And then coming out of it, my kids, I say, are my inspiration. And I spent a lot of time with Macmillan's psychiatrist, who was really helping me through what I could only kind of think of as like survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, why me? I'm going through all these changes and it's never ending, and grieving my past self as well. Not able to kind of fully express that. Because I didn't really understand it until I met the Macmillan psychiatrist who helped me kind of piece that together. It's been a long journey, but that's quite what you said, that my family had to go through that as well.
Yeah,
my kids seeing that, and my wife, and they've been in and out of counselling for the past few years. But I struggled to kind of think what I would end up as without that support network. Because if my wife wasn't there for that 1 hour, then where would I be now? And if I didn't see my children when I was going through the rehab, and if I didn't get signposted to the Macmillan charity, I'd probably still be going through it. And I do, it comes back and forth, but it's not as intense as it used to be. But yeah, it's
great to have that.
It's finding that support. It's, because never in a million years I would thought I would ask for the pastoral care, but I needed someone to talk to.
100%.
And they were available and they came up every day just sitting there and listening. And you find a lot of common grounds with people when you go through this journey, and then putting yourself out there on social media and campaigning for issues that are probably going unsaid or...
it's a big space, isn't it? Social
huge. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I've got to ask about you and who supported you.
To be honest, it's similar to you guys. It's in family, friends, my wife. I had my surgery 2 weeks after I met her.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it was all very much like, look, if you're not interested, because we went on a couple of dates, and I went, I've got a big life event happening in a couple of weeks' time. So if you're not interested, totally get it. And then, she was like, she just stuck on. I remember when we first met up after having my stoma, the first hospital visit we had, I had a big blockage, and like there's one memory, and I said this in my wedding speech. I was like this, my stoma started to explode because it finally started to work properly. Like poop's going all in this little bucket, and she's got the bucket going, it's all right.
Wow.
And I was like, I think I've got to marry now. I've literally pooped all over your hands. Like, thanks, babe.
Oh, great.
But like, so like we're fortunate, right?
Yeah.
And there's one thing you were touching on there about social media and people who haven't got that support network. What would you say to people that may not have the support network we had? How would you help them, or advice you would offer them?
Well, I would just say that when I first had my stoma, which was back in 2012, there wasn't a lot of social media. And now, social media, personally for me, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Mr. TikTok selfie over it.
Mr. TikTok selfie, yes. No, I won't do it. TikTok selfie! Anyway, she'll kill me for that. So there is a massive community on social media, mainly Instagram. And it's people with stomas, people telling their stories of what they've gone through. None of us are there giving advice to anybody. We're not medically trained, so we don't give advice. What we do is we tell you about our stories, and other people can relate to it. Oh, that happened to me. You know? So I think the best thing you could really do is find your community.
Yeah, find your tribe.
Find your tribe. We always talk about our tribe. We are a tribe. We are family.
Find your bag bros.
Yes, exactly. And we're easy to find. Come and join us.
I think
come and join us.
For me as well, to help with this is like, as a man, you're not alone in this, and I feel like when you are looking on social media, it can be overwhelming because there's not a lot of men that are openly talking about it, which is why like you guys here today chatting about it is massive, and that's why I want to encourage more, because the market, if you will, is quite dominated by women, right? And that's not any negative. It's that's because people aren't doing it, but it's to have the confidence to be like, we may be less like represented, I would say, possibly.
But that's a good one.
Talk about it. That will help others. More people will see it, and then you'll start to have that sort of swing or that shift from more women talking about it to more men talking about it. So it becomes much more inclusive. And even then, to look at, there'll be other people there that come from different cultures, backgrounds, ethnicities, whatever. The more people start talking about it, the more open it becomes for everybody else.
Definitely.
So it's really accessible for more people, but it all starts with simply having a conversation.
That was certainly something that I didn't see someone like me out there talking about, whether it be cancer or health in general, who has a stoma. And so I've always said, if you're looking for change, you have to often be the one that creates it.
You have to be the change,
100%.
And that can be a difficult step, isn't it? Because you're the one that's got to make that change. But it's fine for some men. It's finding that strength and courage to go and do that. And I think a lot of men will hold themselves back, and they would just carry on holding all their guilt and everything else rather than just making that step, because it is difficult to make that first step.
Vulnerability, isn't there?
Exactly.
If you put yourself out there, you may think of yourself like you're a target. And I see some of the comments on social media, and some of them can be negative.
Absolutely.
But majority of the times they are just positive to go, great, it's wonderful what you're doing, really inspiring. And then you become the example for the next generation.
100%.
There are some dangers on social media. Instagram's really good. Nearly every comment on Instagram is always a positive comment. But there are, and YouTube's pretty good as well. But the ones that I found are dangerous, that some people, I steer them away from it. Some of the Facebook groups, on the Facebook groups are awful. And you get people going on there that are new to a stoma, and they're making a few, not mistakes, but they're not getting things right. They're getting leaks or whatever. And people with stomas are giving them a really hard time. And the comments are like, this is awful.
I know
We're supposed to be supporting each other. And people, being really negative to someone that's only had their stoma in a week and they're saying, I'm really struggling with the bag. Yeah, they've only had it a week. Of course they're struggling. And people being negative about that. And the Facebook is a dangerous place. Instagram is a lot more positive.
I think it's like anything, right? If you're looking only at one source of social media, that's all you'll see. So if there are people that are on here Like I say mainly TikTok. I see more of you through TikTok. You're more YouTube.
I'm on everything.
You're kind of spread across a few mediums. I try and do everything where I can, just copy paste videos and hope for the best. But it's that sort of thing. Like if you're getting negativity, like that shouldn't be your only outlet. Not outlet, your only source. Look to Instagram. Look for other social medias. Or there's loads of blogs. You guys have done some amazing blogs, right?
I can honestly say that the way social media tends to go, I could put a post out today. I could take a picture of us four. I could put it on any social media. I could get 1,000
2 likes.
Yeah, I could post it out there, and I could get 1,000 positive comments. Right, then you will get one negative comment, just one, and then all of a sudden you look at that post and you think, why did I post it? But that's not the point. You should have posted it. A lot of people will go to that post then and delete it because of that one comment. Don't ever delete. Delete the comment, move on. And that is the only advice I can give you with social media. Delete it, move on. If somebody persists, block them. Don't even answer them. Because once you've answered somebody,
you're feeding
once
them,
you've answered a negative comment on social media, you've lost.
Some people call it out, don't they? I've seen that.
Yeah, that's not for me.
No, I'll just ignore it.
I ignore it, block it, and move on.
I laugh at it now. Just like, why have you got your bag out again? I'm like, Mum, can you stop commenting on my posts? It's for awareness, Mum. Look, guys, thank you so much for talking today. I really, really appreciate it. And it's been really empowering and insightful listening to your stories, your views, and everything that we've discussed today. But hopefully this is just the beginning. Because we've got more podcasts coming forward, but hopefully it'll be more for other men and other individuals to start talking as well. And we can break down that silence. And
definitely get involved, guys.
Or just inspire others,
involved.
Right?
Inspire others, exactly.
And to round this all off, and I think we said this a number of times, everyone here, and even listening or watching, you're not alone. I think that's the most important thing. So look, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to Beyond the Pouch spin-off podcast. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.